So this is officially my coverage of Hellfire Gala 2025. There's so many different skins being released. This is the most aesthetic season of Marvel Rivals yet, especially with 2.5 quickly on our heels. So let's get into all the greatness. Starting with Iron Fist's Immortal Weapon skin, I've already talked about this in my Call for Male Body video, where I just appreciate the fact that they took what was pretty much a standard save the day oriented suit from the comics and just made it so much more, number one, attractive, but just so much more stylish. A cropped jacket, we're getting textures, and we're just getting the proper decoration and accessorizing to really make this so much more aesthetic and just fully flex and add a little bit more range to his already strong, stylish wardrobe. I'm honestly really loving these retro X-Men uniform styles, and Namor definitely looks good in this one. I'm loving him with the shorter haircut and the facial hair. Like, appreciate the ponytail, but really just appreciate this clean cut look, especially with a clean cut suit, but we still have the nice kind of gold hardware just to really round out his unique character distinction and his royalty. My personal bias, I'm not a fan of weird demon zombie-ish looking creatures and effects, so I'm really not a fan of this Doctor Strange look. At least we still have some proper kind of garbs on him, but just with the multiple hands coming out and even the sound effect when you play him, I haven't played him, but I heard it on other enemy teams, just not a fan, but looks cool. A great flex and call back to the cinematic universe. It is what it is. I feel like these Winter Soldier skins kind of start to blend together after a certain point, and maybe it's just because of the bland color palette. I do love this Thunderbolts one, mainly because it's just a simple, attractive look. Utility and harness and holster details, but it's just a little blasé. I mean, it's called back to the universe, I get it, but I don't know, it's just kind of whatever. This Flora Maiden costume for Mantis is everything that she is and everything that she deserves. She looks so glamorous, so Hellfire Gala, and I really just appreciate the nature motifs. It just feels very natural, very alien, but brings it all together in a way that just feels completely transformative for a character like her. Definitely a great innovation upon some of her base design. It's an original. I really just love everything about this. Is her best one yet. Getting into these Peach Momoko Demon Days costumes, love this transformation of her Punisher. It still has the armored elements, still within a kind of structure and silhouette that we would expect from his character, but the color choice, so fresh, so clean, especially in contrast to what we typically get, which is just these aggressive, bold, dark colors, red, silver, black, still sprinkles of those to really tie it all in and make it true to his character, but really just feels like it's a nice leap in spectrum of aesthetic that he can embody. And then this look for Penny Parker, very much needed. She's been needing a little bit of an aesthetic refresh, and this definitely adds some cultural taste and flavor. We don't really get to see her body, so I mean, it's not the most extravagant outfit, but it is still nice just to kind of see her get a little bit of that stylish treatment. And I feel like the overall look is in somewhat resemblance to Spider-Man's costume, so it feels like we're within that kind of like textural, spider-oriented family and vicinity. And even just the mech suit just has so much more character and personality to it with this treatment. So absolutely love it. Hela is an absolute queen. And what really struck me with this look were her strap heels, like just style. The Marvel devs just know how to take something cultural traditional and give it just that extra bit of taste and spice just to really make it stand out and feel not only original but true to the character. Like, she still looks menacing, still almost looks Medusa-esque, to be honest, but she just also looks very feminine and glamorous too. This could also easily pass as some sort of Hellfire Gala situation. And I'm loving these luxurious layers and textures and draping that Loki gets within his styles. Kind of somewhat feels a little bit native to his default already, especially just given the placement, I think, of some of the textural elements, but just an easy differentiation and tweak to make it fall within that cultural realm and theme and concept, but still feel made anew, especially just with the additional decorations and the designs and the patterns. So I had originally thought that this look for Luna Snow felt a little different than how the other Hellfire Gala costumes have looked, and it's technically part of Peach Momoko. So that's really why, not to say that it's not glamorous and doesn't fit within the kind of party or celebration theme. It just looks different with those textural elements and a little bit of that kind of belt work and wrapping that just feels very cultural traditional, but completely made anew. Love that she got a different hairstyle, still getting the asymmetry contrast between the black and the white. Honestly, a nice, refreshing change in style for her. So I'm actually going to quickly insert this chaos gown for Scarlet Witch before getting into her Immortal Dragon look, just because this really felt like this completely looked like the previous skin that she had just gotten before this, which some people thought was reflective or reinvented from her original Hellfire Gala look from the comics, but I actually think this one looks more like it. Which just goes to say that she's looking very similar from look to look. And she could definitely, I understand the red theme. She definitely needs a little bit more to change up these styles so they don't feel so homogenous and completely congruent to one another. And this is exactly what I would like to see. When I saw this new skin for her, I was like, okay, let's stay within that red family, but change something up. I love her with a darker hairstyle, but just that blondish, goldish hair really helps those other gold elements within the design pop and just absolutely shine through. And I just feel like we're getting a little bit different play with like the sleeves. We're just getting a little bit of a different composition and structure and silhouette from the overall gown design. And I feel like if we're going to continue to keep her in this overall all red gown glamorous aesthetic, like she needs something, she needs those accessories to do the heavy work, pop, create some new flow and synergy, just to not make it feel like she's completely one-dimensional in her style. And oh my gosh, Adam Warlock looks so absolutely opulent to the max in this look. I feel like this is so fitting for his character. He already has that gold base to his body, and just having some additional elements to kind of round that out in a different tone just really makes him feel super duper expensive. And just that extra little pop of that jade or emerald stone really stands out against the darker color of the overall robe, garment, outfit. He just looks absolutely large and in charge. Now getting into KCOA Resort, love this ongoing treatment for Rocket. He is so prime for these seasonal type styles and looks, from the winter to the Western to this. And I even said from the very beginning, like, we got to put him in some cooler, regular outfits and clothing just to take away from the fact that he's a raccoon. And I'm loving him with headwear. And I just really love how his different gadgets really do embody the theme that's going on with the overall costume and outfit design. Simple, but honestly, it could be so much more plain if they didn't add some great accessory details. So just really speaking to the fact that accessories can do so much heavy lifting in a look. And I'm obsessed with the treatment, the spoiled treatment that Squirrel Girl is getting. She rocks it. And I feel like I saw somewhere that this was maybe an allusion to a Sabrina Carpenter music video look, at least with the visor, but whatever the case, love this composition. Give her that body confidence because she's got it going on. And I love that even though it's like a shorter kind of swimsuit oriented short, we're still getting a little bit of that like netted sheer top going on just to balance out the coverage with the skin, but still feel very seasonally appropriate and honestly super stylish for any sort of woman who would want to pick up this type of look. Right, now let's talk gala, and I've loosely ranked these looks from least favorite to most favorite, mostly based off of originality and just overall aesthetic glamour. And starting with Wolverine, he obviously looks great. I even said from the very beginning, let's get him in some sort of suited look just to kind of balance out what he's already got going on. And this is kind of what we've seen him in already in the comics. So not a complete departure or anything too original, but very fresh nonetheless, and an easy go-to gala look for any man. This is the absolute best that I think I've ever seen Captain America look. Top aesthetic for me, in my opinion. And I even said with regard to the original Hellfire Gala look that this is based on, that gray vest, it looked like a gray vest in the illustration, is just not working with the rest of the look. And so I love that they made the jacket and the pant completely cohesive with that striped design. It just is absolutely top fashion. It looks so good. Once again, I'm really loving this reinvention of previous Hellfire Gala looks, just giving them so much more of that punch and that flair that I really crave. I said with regard to this Widow original Hellfire Gala look that it looked a little Save the Day. It looked like kind of a little regular super suit-ish, but they just did the right patches of red in the right areas to give it a different silhouette and like overall design, to not make it feel like it's just a bodysuit. It still is, and then with the tail behind it, like, this is much more of what I would expect from something that's runway red carpet ready. Overall, I think that this treatment of Black Panther's Hellfire Gala style is much better. They once again just add those little extra decorative touches, like the kind of saber teeth around the cuffs of the pants, and overall just so much more gold hardware that makes this just feel so much more in your face, and he kind of has to be just based on his role. I will say, as much as I love having the scarf more pronounced over the jacket and across the chest, I actually kind of liked how in the comics it was kind of woven into the jacket underneath and kind of peeked out from the bottom, and it had a little bit more of like a kind of technicolor or holographic touch to it. I mean, beggars can't be choosers. Love any sort of glamorous treatment that we can get. This is the best he's looked in my opinion. Star-Lord, I've been calling this, and I know Hellfire Gala is conducive to it anyway, but I've said, like, please get him in some regular stylish clothes, like not just these jumpsuits similar to Rocket. Like, we get it, he's outer space shooter guy, but this just is absolutely peak in my opinion. Gold in all the right areas, permeated in just the right way. Such a great contrast color-wise and visually from that kind of blue band and strap. It still feels very official, like Admiral. I don't always know the word choice, but I think you get what I'm saying. Loving the shoulders, loving the boots, loving the guns, loving the everything. Bruce Banner is looking so good. Once again, the best he's looked up until this point. And I feel like it's almost a little bit mobsterish, especially just given with like the casino gambling theme from his MVP animation. And maybe that's just a symptom of Joe Fix-It. But loving this, loving from the hat to the shoes and everything in between. So absolutely fresh. And another great flex in style because he's gone punk. Glad that he can go formal. And I don't usually talk about the Hulk form, but obviously Joe Fix-It himself, like, loving this. And it's even more accessorized and stylized from the comics and how he's looked there. Some people might think it's over stylized. This is what should be done. We should be getting extra layers, extra charm, just to really transform these looks and make them something that I want to buy. And he looks expensive, loving that harness situation with the gold hardware, killing it. And even though I voted for Emma Frost as best dressed because I want her to get a top of the line free costume next year at the 2026 gala, Cloak and Dagger, I mean, I actually initially started voting for them. This is absolutely what I want to see. It's extravagance, it's fantasy, and the biggest thing I wanted to note was I love the contrast between Cloak and Dagger in this case. Usually Cloak is obviously more black and shrouded, and then Dagger is more light and bright. I love that they kind of switch that up a little bit here. Loving that juxtaposition and play there. All the right gold. I feel like oftentimes these games can lean into a ballet theme just to really kind of play up the glamour and extravagance, but just in general, it still fits either way, whatever the orientation is, gala, ballet, whatever. It's absolutely stunning. They're on a streak. All right, but you know, as I wrap up season 2, I gotta lean into the next phase, which is 2.5. Ultron, not much to say. He looks cool. Can't wait to play him. Love a support that's a lot more action oriented, maybe even damage impact. So excited to get my hands on him in the game. But love this X-Tron costume. Obviously, like, next level incredible. The cape and just how it's a little like technologic, like glitchy, is really interesting. And obviously it's X oriented, so already obsessed with that. And the bold gold, which is just a nice inverse and contrast to his base design. Absolutely excellent. I mean, and I think it looks maybe original, so already on a great start for him. Then we have this Hawkeye skin. I mean, it kind of feel like it looks a little bit like his base, just in a darker tone with that Ultron corruption going on. So, I mean, really not much to say here. It's interesting and cool for what it is. Definitely know that there's some people who are going to get into it. But this Magneto one gives me a little more creativity, just a little bit more thought and detail going into it. It feels like a genuine corruption going on of the body and the mind to an extent. Really just loving we really see that robot mech versus like human flesh and skin in the design, which I feel like is huge to really convey this theme a bit more. Ultron virus, yeah, so I just really feel like this is capturing it so much more. Still not maybe my favorite aesthetically, but I like where this is going. I don't usually talk about Groot designs either, except like I think during the winter one, because it was a little bit more fun and it seemed like it was clothing. This one is just so colorful. It feels like it's bringing together so many different power sources and energy just to really be like a tree of life. And I just love this for his character. Looks so good. Definitely legendary worthy. It's just really the colors. It's just fun to look at. I love this future foundation look for Mr. Fantastic. Oh my gosh. I love that it's an all kind of silver fox situation, just with the interesting kind of visor, like eyewear. And it just feels gadgety, techy, definitely like year 3000. Like I'm so into this, and I got a peek of Sue Storm's and I cannot wait to get my hands on that. She still kind of looks like how she typically looks with the short little haircut. Like, I don't know, loving this fresh, cool, futuristic style for them. But let's talk about Storm. We've been talking about this. We've been saying how she needs something so much more chic than what she's been getting. We get it. She's looked great up until this point. This is something a little bit softer for her. Also gala appropriate. She could have used something a little bit more glamorous, but hey, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. There's still plenty of time. She looks absolutely incredible. Loving the long braid that she has. It's just loving the vest, the gold hardware, the purple, the leg wear. Like, this is everything she deserves, and she deserves even more. So let's see if we can continue to spoil our girl. With all of these aesthetic, beautiful, and attractive skins and cosmetics that were released in season 2, Marvel Rivals has continued to set another bar for themselves. I'm so curious to see how they can continue to innovate and reinvent their design, fashion, style choices. They are so talented, huge fan, and I cannot wait to see all the more that 2.5 has to offer. But until the next video, we'll circle back in a few weeks or months or whatever. I'll talk to you later.